Hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio and to our new iron ore drop-off station. Now, since the last episode, I have had time to update the station as I said I would, and I've indeed updated a couple of blueprints based on some of your feedback. One of them, let me grab you, is I have adjusted the blueprint for the regular line of track to have the signals slightly offset so that this will rotate a little bit better. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have noticed that issue until much later when there were loads of instances where the rotation was not quite right because of the way that you mirror a blueprint versus rotate a blueprint. Don't know what I mean? Don't worry. It's a very small thing that probably only would have given me any cause for concern. But furthermore, I have heard you, and we have indeed started renaming our stations correctly. There is a markup language of a sort, and you can get any kind of special character. For example, let's say item equals iron hyphen ore, and there you go. Nice and easy. And you can do colors in much the same way. Color without the U, unfortunately, equals, and then either RGB value or a name for certain colors. And there we are. That's actually quite wonderful. Now, in today's episode, we are first and foremost going to set up the iron mining outpost, and for that, we're going to need quite a few more miners. I'm going to say we're going to need a lot of miners, so let's go ahead and grab all of those, and we're going to be on our way. Now, once we get up there, I'm going to also go ahead and set up a little bit more defenses, I think, because we are about to start mining on a very large scale, and indeed, you know what, sure, let's go ahead and grab these as well. At the very least, I'm going to want a radar up there, and may as well grab this while I'm driving past. Oh no, do I not have enough? I haven't got any lights on me. These are the darkest of times, quite literally when night falls. Okay, so I'll go and grab some lights as well, just as soon as I've taken these walls away, because come on, it's really cathartic stripping these away. Not quite as cathartic as the xylophone building in Oxygen Not Included, but there is a certain something pleasing about the sound of stripping all of those walls down. How many chests have I got? I actually don't have that many. Maybe I could do with a couple more. Sure, let's go ahead and grab some steel chests and grab all of the lights as well. And then we are going to be on our merry way. There we are. Off we go. Now, the train is already headed up. Now, there are a couple of other things I would like to implement based on your suggestions. And one of them is, I mean, it's not so much that I didn't know how to do this one, but I was being stubborn, I guess, is the only real way that I can describe it. You can, of course, very easily balance a belt, or at least balance a belt more than I was before, by doing something a little bit like this, just so that you ensure that some of the ore gets down to the other part of the line. Now, the reason why I don't completely separate it is because, honestly, if this is completely backed up, then I'm fine with it continuing down. It is a very cheap and dirty way of balancing your belts. Now, over here, I'm probably going to do the same thing, but we'll get back to that one in a little moment. Now, another thing, to be honest, I really need to sort this out because yeah, it's a little bit ugly. It's very obvious to the eye that isn't a perfect circle. I mean, you're not going to get a perfect circle in Factorio. Just leave that dream behind, I'm afraid. Let me just grab you there. Can I get you to draw all the way down? There we go. That'll do. The other bit of advice was to go ahead and set up chain signals on your rotary junctions, and I agree that. Honestly, it was a bit of an oversight that I didn't do that before. I was thinking, oh, well, maybe I won't need it. But no, this is going to help out so much more in the long run. Also, now I need to offset that just a little bit. I want it to be very central. There we are. And you know what? I think we can probably do with having this as a blueprint as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So, whomp. There we are. We'll remove these sections. We don't want those there. And there. There we are. And, how exactly are we going to make this one? Oh, you know what? I could just use an O. That's good enough. I could use an R for rotary, but an O is visual. Because you can't use a curved track, unfortunately. Now, how do you spell rotary? Is it rotary? Rotary? I have no idea. Again, English isn't my first language, and I do feel really ignorant when it's simple words like this that I can't spell, but Okay, I was way off. It's actually rotary like that. Look, don't judge me. I'm sensitive about these things. Right, there we go. Let's pop that nice and snug in here. Let's pop that there and just shimmy those around a little bit. There we are, perfect. And we've got a new nice spangly rotary junction down there. Oops, and because of that, we no longer have power up here. You know, sacrifices must be made. But there we go. Now we have power. And we're also going to have a radar as well, which I think is going to be a nice move. Oh, I lack grenades. You know what's just south of this mining field? Trees. I disapprove of that, so, yeah. Be right back. Oof, we only just had enough miners for that. Only just. A little bit left over, but not very many. There we are. Okay, well, this is not a particularly good setup in terms of space efficiency, but we're going to very quickly work through all of these mines, so I'm not too terribly concerned about it overall. Let's get these going down. There we are. And we'll have these ones meet up in the middle. And we're just going to run a couple of these down. Now, we're not going to exhaust this field for quite some time. There's a lot of iron here. It's going to last us for a while. And to that end, I'm not overly concerned about how I've placed these down, because I imagine that we're going to, for the most part, the miners are not going to be doing anything. I would otherwise be a little bit worried about putting down this many miners all at the same time, but by and large, I think we should be okay. And this is what I mean about having too many of these, is because of this, we're going to end up with a bit of a messy setup down here. There we go. I'll just have you there, and then finally another one right there as well. There we are. I will be taking 2 lines of the iron down, though, since we've got a long ways to cover. But once we've got iron set up, I'm going to need to place down a train. And I am actually starting to get to the point now where I think we're going to want to set up the automatic production of trains. And if we're going to be moving on to oil, and on that note, fluid wagon is complete, I think it's time for combinators. Do you think it's time for... I definitely think it's time for combinators. So let's get those on the go. But once we have... Oh, I'm not going to be able to get that all the way down there. We'll go. Once we've got oil and such research, then we're going to be able to start getting really, really deep into the plastic production and all of the many, many other wonderful things that come from plastics. Actually, I think... although it's going to look a bit squiggly, and that's because it is going to be a bit squiggly. In fact, I'm going to have to make it even more squigglier. We are going to do something along these lines. There we are, and get them all going down there. I can easily just clear that up, like so. Whomp. There, perfect. Then we can pop down a splitter, and the same over here, because ultimately we want to change this station as well. Now, this one is set up for iron pickup. Oh, it's 30 down there. My bad. I think I'm going to need to adjust my loading station or unloading. Yeah, unloading. I think that shouldn't be too bad. One of the problems that I'm seeing right now is that we're using station names, which I'm not particularly happy with. I must have copied that over incorrectly. Oh well, I'll quickly fix that up. There we go. The moment I place this down, it's going to overwrite the signal there into a copper station. Whap, whap, whap. Oh well, we can easily sort that one out. And once again, it's fairly easy. We just go item equals iron hyphen ore. That gives us the iron ore logo there. And at this point, I'm doing things a little bit differently. I think it was well. Yeah, 120, and then we'll drop it all the way down to 30. About there. That gives us a nice rusty iron look for this station. Or rather iron-bearing rocks. There we are. And whoop. And finally there. Perfect. Right, so with that done, I should, or at least once I've built the chest, be able to look at making an iron train. Obviously, I also need to hook up the mines themselves, and that should probably be done sooner rather than later, so that it can start building up a nice stockpile of iron ready for the train once we set that one up. There we go. That should not be there. And womp, womp, womp. Perfect. Right, now what I want to do here is I want to make sure that the loading station no longer uses the blueprint names. It makes... sorry, not the station names, rather. Train stop names. No, very much not. Also, not these as well. There we go. That is going to be a little bit better. That way I'm not constantly creating new copper pickup stations everywhere I make a station. That could confuse my rail network something rotten. Right, okay, so I'm going to go and pop down a couple of energy poles, and then I shall meet you back at base, where we're going to set up the production of trains as well as the unloading station proper. So see you in a few moments. Okay, here we are back at the Bootstrap base. Okay, we've also finished the combinator network. What should we go for next? I think gates, so that we can make enclosed areas. I think that'll actually be very, very useful. But the first things we're going to want to start working on, we actually want to automate the production of trains. And since we're going to be starting to extract oil, we also want to automate all of the necessary components for that. Much like mining areas, when you set up when you start extracting from a new oil, well, you tend to go through quite a lot of material to do it. Now, thing is, I'm getting to a point now where I feel that making use of these old haggard assembly machines, no, it's time for us to upgrade, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and set that up. We can definitely do this in a better way. No, bad, naughty. I suppose I am the bad naughty there, but shh. Where are we going to set this one up? We need access to the green circuit, so we could actually just pop it down at the end here. I wouldn't necessarily be against that. Sure. Okay, let's set up a new production. So first and foremost, how many gears do we need for this? We need 5 gears every 0.5. Okay, we're just flat out not making these very quickly. I guess we're not going to worry about the resources overall. We need, in total, iron, gears, and electronic circuits to be able to make the basic assemblers, and we need steel, gears, and electronic circuits, and the basic assembly machine to make the assembly machine too. The common ingredients in this are the gears and the electronic circuits, so we're going to have those share a belt. And to that end, let's see, we want iron to be available to make the gears with. Let's just start somewhere around here, let's say. There we are. And we want both of these to be making gears for me. There we are. We will honestly not need this to be quick. That is not going to be a concern of ours. But we will want them to flow down something like this. And then we can have the electronic circuit join in over here, something like that. There we go. I'll just draw this out, add in the tunnels, and there we go. Perfect. Over here, we are going to want iron, and we're going to want that iron to both feed the gear production as well as the basic assembly machines. Oh, wait. I've put that on the wrong side. Drat damn and blast. Well, I don't know why I picked all of that up. I could have just hoovered it up, but we actually want that over here. My bad, everyone. There we go. My bad. Right. Hoover all of this up. There we go. And got to wait for it to come through the tunnel there. That is a very common mistake that I make. I'm not even going to pretend that doesn't happen to me all the time. Wish it didn't, but it absolutely does. Sound off in the comments if it happens to you. That's saying that if you've had to tear down your factory or part of your factory multiple times because you keep putting things on the wrong side of the belt, I stand in solidarity with you. Right, okay, let's get all of this hooked up. There we go. This will make the gears that we need, and we want you to be making me assembly machines level 1. And we are going to want a little bit more iron over here. Now, how much iron do you require? You require a decent amount. But again, this is not really a big build, but we could use that to pull these off this belt nice and fast. Now, on the other side, we're going to want, again, assembly machine. We're not going to store the lower tier assembly machines because the higher tier ones are a flat upgrade. Once you've got them, there is no reason to use the old version. So something like this should do everything we need, except I'm not going to have enough power because scallywags. Basically. Okay, well, I suppose we're going to adjust this then, because I am finicky like that. There we go. And we'll push all of this up, because it has to look nice. Well, it doesn't have to. I want it to. There we go. And pop that one there as well. There we go. And the long arms inserter right there. And that should take care of all of that for us. Now this one, we need to bring down the steel on this side. And whether or not we're going to do anything more than this in this factory, I actually kind of doubt that we're going to need to, if I'm perfectly honest. I suspect that in terms of like the tier 3 assembly machine, I doubt we're going to be using the bootstrap base at that point. In fact, I certainly hope we're not. I would consider that a failed condition. There we go, and pop you down there. Now, we are not going to need many of these things, but it will be good once we start using them. We'll use them for our future builds, definitely. Again, these are more or less flat upgrades. If we have, in fact, let's use the first ones to upgrade the factories that we've got here, and then drop off all of these if we can. Perfect. All right, that can... Oh, damn it. That can overwrite... Ah. I keep doing that. I'm so used to that being my inventory. But if we have a look at their stats, it consumes 155 kilowatts at max. This one consumes 77. So it's about half as much. Min consumption is double as well. Pollution per minute, though. It pollutes less and it crafts faster. Uses more power to do it, but in my opinion, that is a flat upgrade, and I strongly advise that the moment you've got them, you just go around your base and start upgrading everything. In fact, I'm fairly certain you can use a blueprint to do that if you really, really want to. Once you've got robots, you can more or less just tell them, yeah, upgrade the factory in this way, and it's actually pretty cool. Right, so with that all said and done, what are we going to be building? Well, we're going to be building trains, but we're going to want all types of train wagons, specifically because we're going to be dealing with oil. So to make the locomotive, we're going to need engines, green circuits, steel. We're going to need iron and gears to make the cargo wagons. We're going to need the storage tank and pipes to make the fluid wagons. The storage tank is going to require steel and iron. The pipes themselves are going to require iron. We are going to need pumps in quite a few places, so we're going to need engines for that, pipes and steel. And, of course, the pump jacks themselves, which require steel, iron, and electronic circuits. One thing I am noting here is that, with the exception of the electronic circuits, which we're going to be bringing in from elsewhere, we require no copper. So, we can probably get away with building any of the requirements we need on site out of steel and iron. We'll bring the electronic circuits in for those things that require it. So that'll be the locomotive, if we build the engine on site, that doesn't even require it either. It'll be the locomotive and the pump jack, which are going to need that. The engine is required for the locomotive and the pump. So honestly, I'm going to say that we're not going to need many engines. The locomotives use quite a lot, but we're not going to be stockpiling many of these. All right, I think we may, in fact, be able to do this quite cleanly. Do many of the items that require the green circuits require gears? One does. This one doesn't. So the electronic circuits aren't a good candidate to be on the same belt as the gears. How about steel? The things that require steel? Yes. Yes, they do. These two do. This one doesn't use it. This one requires steel. And the motor, the motor requires, yeah, actually, so gears, I'm going to say, will belong on the same belt as the steel, and that's going to make things a lot easier for us. And the electronic circuits, and I guess iron, though that being said, electronic circuits may be on their own, and then we'll manufacture the pipes as well. Okay, I've got a plan of attack. We're going to grab some more assembly machines. We're going to start researching something new. And I'm going to go about laying out the way that we're going to set all of this up. What are we going to go for next? At this point, there's not many things that I think we really need to go for. I guess I'm going to go for a lab research time. I'm going to start pumping that into it. Because I don't want to get to any of the research that has anything to do with things that we're not going to be building in the near future. So I'm going to bring you back in a moment when I have laid out the factory for our construction. So see you in a second. Okay then, I've had a bit of a think of how we're going to set this one out, and since I'm going to be setting it out in a bit of a different way than I usually would, I figured that it would be one of those times where it is actually going to be fairly useful to be here for the building. Now, the first one that we're going to be setting up is gear wheels, and you'll notice that I'm taking off one belt and putting on to a far belt. This one then is going to be the belt for our iron and gears belt. So we're going to want iron on the inside, so something like that, and we'll bring the iron up here like so, and then across. There we are, and now actually fits in quite nicely with I say iron, but I mean to say steel. That will fit in quite nicely, so this must then be our iron and electronic circuits belt. So similarly, we are going to want something along the lines of this. Now, this isn't exactly where I would want to put these things, but I've started, so I'll finish. There we go. We can, strictly speaking, get this all to fit in the correct way. There we are. And then we want iron on the far side, so we're coming straight up from here. There we go. And I can just draw these down nice and quickly. And as you can see, although the splitters do kind of get in the way, it's not awful. It's not really difficult to move around them. You can, though, start to run into problems with having a bus with a lot of different things being split off at the same location. Typically, it's worth spending some time, as I didn't in this instance, to just make sure that you're pulling everything in the right sort of locations for what you want to be working on. So as soon as this starts coming in, we should see the gears being placed on that side of the belt. Perfect. Okay, so the next machine that we want to do, let's have a look. Probably one of the first ones that's easy to do is going to be the cargo wagon. It takes iron, steel, and gears, and it takes a lot of all of these, but that should be fine. So we'll pop a wagon there. Let's pop this up here. There we are, so that we can access all of the things that we need. There we go. We'll grab this. Now, that being said, the thing with this is it is going to be pulling quite a lot from the far side, so there may be a decent argument in favor of setting this up on this side instead. Let's go ahead. This is never going to look nice. It's just something we're going to have to live with. And it pains me, but it is what we're going to have to do. So we'll just try and move on with our lives as best we can, knowing that this is going to be a little bit wonky. Right, let's pop this one over there. We want to unload these fairly slowly. We're not going to have that much use on that one. We are, however, for this going to be pulling, I mean, not a small amount of iron plates. So I think 2 long-handled inserters to help with that should be fine. Let's make sure that we're not going to make too many of these. I'm not sure how much they stack to. And so given that, actually, we're going to restrict it to 1 just to make sure. Now, we do have combinators, and we can now start using red and green wire to really very aggressively limit this to very specific numbers. I'm not going to worry over much about that one, though. Now, the next one, the fluid wagon, that actually requires the storage tank. Now, the storage tank is easily made with steel and iron, but the fluid wagon then also needs steel and gears and pipe. Now, what else is pipe going to be used for? Pipe is going to be used for the pump recipe, the fluid wagon, the pump jack. Does it get used in this? Yes. A pipe's actually going to be used in quite a few things. So we're probably going to want, but it's not a resource that we care over much about. And nor do we actually care that much about the engine units. We're only producing those locally to be used to make something else. So with that in mind, we may be able to get around this in a fairly neat way just by using another belt But having a look at these, so we're going to need this on one side, the fluid wagon, the pump, because what I'm thinking is if we have something like that there, then we have the pipes running up behind it, or up or down behind it, then that will allow us to have the other assemblers pulling from that. So we've got the fluid wagon, the pump recipe itself, we will have the pump jack, and the engine all pulling from the same place. And the engine is going to feed the pump jack, and it's going to feed the locomotive. Oof. Okay, so that's actually quite a lot of things that we're going to be using that for. Let's go ahead. Oh, we definitely need more iron. What is the issue with our iron at the moment? Oh, we have started to really run down on that. Okay, well, this is where we're actually going to have to act out of the order that I would like to do things in, just because our hand is kind of being forced. Let's continue to researching itself. Well, I can manufacture these in my pocket, so let's go ahead and do this for now, and then we can get everything on the move. Let's have a look down here. That one needs to be 30, as I recall. There we go. Let me just double check that, actually, because I want to make sure that the stations are all the correct sort. Actually, we can probably have a look at it from the map. We zoom in, 255, 120, 30. Yes, that's perfect then. So 255, 120, 30. Perfect. Right, let's get this train down. I had hoped to build the train separately, but sorry, automatically, but well, what can you do, eh? I want to make sure that this got the same color. So 120 and 30. There we are. And then the stations will be iron drop-off until empty cargo, then move on to refueling station, wait until inactivity, then finally on iron pickup, where we want it to wait until it's got a full cargo or until 5 seconds of inactivity. And that should do everything we needed to do. Oops, that's the wrong button. Oh, yes, we need to pop in a tiny bit of fuel ourselves. You know what, that little bit of fuel there should be enough to get it going. And off you go. Let's hope that you do well. Let's actually bring up the copper train. Copper pickup. I got copper pickup, copper drop-off, and then refueling station. And yes, that's going to bother me enough. It will actually bother me enough. So we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to add these in because I am that much of a derp. There we go. And then we'll add in the refueling station and set that one to 5 seconds of inactivity. There we go. Now, everything is in the correct order. Now, let's have a quick look at you on the map. In fact, let's go over there specifically. Oh, no, we don't have any... oh, that's a shame. Don't have any radar coverage there. I might want to put a radar over there just so that I can see that. But either way, that should be being loaded now. I wonder if there is... Yeah, we can see the cargo is filling up quite nicely. So that one will be down here in a little while. And in that little while, that gives us enough time to set up all of the unloading. It does help if I can actually draw a straight line. Unfortunately, what isn't helping that is the fact that my hands are so cold. Well, it's Scotland. You know, it is what it is, really. You don't live in Scotland and then expect to be warm. All right, let's pop that down. Just draw this out. Ah! There we go. It is a little bit easier if I draw by just... Oh, my Lord. I'm going to make so many mistakes now that I've brought attention to it. But it is easier to draw if you just walk in the direction you want to go and just hold down the build button. It is a little bit of a cheeky way of doing it, but it gets the job done. There we go. Now, how much... Ooh, we're actually starting to get a little bit low on belts, if I'm honest. That'll do. And up we go. Got to get rid of you as well, I'm afraid. I'm not really afraid. I think you're more afraid of the way I'm going to get rid of you than I am. There we go. Cut through the trees there. And all the way up. Are we out completely? We almost are. Wow. Okay, that's a bit worrisome. And by a bit, I mean it's extremely worrisome, actually. There we go. Side loading this is not ideal. So how about I sideload this one instead, since that's going to be an easier one to sideload. And with that, we can actually now start pulling down quite a lot of these miners. Ooh, wow, we really were getting right down to the bone. My goodness. Well, just as well, we made a point of setting up the railway, and then it was all right for me to start faffing around about, building the trains automatically. But the main thing is that I'd already got everything ready that I could switch it over whenever I wanted to. I could just take my time with switching it over if I wanted to do things in a certain way, and that is exactly what happened there. There we go. That should do nicely. I mean, it's a little bit surplus to demand there, but shouldn't be too bad. Where is the train? Is the train? Oh no, there we are. It is at iron drop off. Let's go and have a look as soon as we can see. There we are, a full belt of iron wending its way over to the base. I'm extremely happy with that. Very, very happy indeed. Now that is probably actually drawing quite a lot of power. Yeah, that is drawing quite a lot of power. We're probably going to want to expand that a little bit in the very near future. But for now, we can focus on getting the automation set up for the production of trains and all of the various gubbins that we're going to be needing to deal with oil, because I know a lot of people are quite excited to see that happen. We have already... oh, does it only stack to 5? In that case, I would like, honestly, 4 of them. Let's get all 4 of those going. But there we are. That's... where are we being attacked? Just down there. That's fine. That's fine on the whole. Let's have a look at the pollution. Ooh, that one I'm worried about, because that one may go straight under and attack my miners. We'll deal with that in a little bit. But first and foremost, let's continue on. So we want everything that's going to be using pipes, which is the pump, the fluid wagon, the pump jack, and the engines themselves. The engines will be splitting to the pump jack and to the locomotive. So the way I'm going to set this one up, I think, is we will have the locomotive there. Engines will be fed to it. Pump jack up here, because pump jack and the engine are both going to want pipes. We will also want the... Wow, the pump also requires engines. Ooh, okay, so we're going to need 2 things on this. We're going to need to put engines on this. Okay, that's actually thrown me off a little bit. 2 things that are going to require engines, and the locomotive is going to require an awful lot of engines. And... oh no, the pump jack doesn't require engines. My bad. Okay, well that solves this problem for me then. That only requires pipes. There I was, panicking over nothing. That one does require pipes, though, so that's fine. So we've got the engines, the pump, the fluid wagon, and the pump jack are all going to be requiring the pipe. So this one will still be the engine. Let's mark that in. This one doesn't require pipes, so it can sit outside of access to the pipes, which are going to run on a belt here. This will be the pump recipe. We are then going to want to pop down some inserters there. The engine itself doesn't require an awful lot. It only requires 2 pipes. Yeah, it requires very little of anything, but unfortunately it is going to require at least 1 item from the long-handled inserters. Actually, it's going to require 2, both steel and iron gears. Oh, that actually makes things a little bit easier for me, if I'm perfectly honest. There we go. That should be everything we need. Yes, it is. Okay, well, let's bring that up and continue on with this. The locomotive is going to require steel and electronic circuits, so let's pop in this and a long-handed inserter. And since I'm making a point of having the long-handled inserters on the lower or the upper section, even though it doesn't need to be that here, I'm going to keep with that just for the sake of keeping a sort of convention to the way I'm placing these down. We will limit this to 2. I'm going to assume that this is the same stack size, but 10 locomotives is 10 trains, whereas 20 down here. That may be, well, how much is that? It's actually it's 10 trains as well. So yeah, that works out quite well because we're only having 2 on each train. So we know exactly how much that's going to require. Now this will require steel. So once again, going to require this. Now to offload this one, since it's not going to be as convenient, actually what I could do is have that one hand it down to a crate there, which would be a little bit easier. And that way, this one can hand over to a crate in much the same way. There we go. I'm not sure how many of these are going to stack to, but I've got a funny feeling it might be 50. We're going to need to pull in pipes as well. There we go. And finally, we're going to want the fluid wagons, which are also going to want pipes and a storage tank. Okay. This one's going to require steel and gears. So that's actually not too bad. So we can set this one up right there. And have you offload into here. There we are. We're going to want you to grab pipes. And once again, going to want you to grab, on this one, quite a few items. So I'm actually okay with having 2 of these loading. There we are. Perfect. And we're going to want, since this is going to require the storage tanks to be present, we can have that one right here. Now, the thing with the storage tanks is we actually want to stockpile these. So, with that in mind, how many does this require? It needs only 1 per. So we'll have that one whole factory's distance away. We'll load it in like that. We'll also store these in a crate. Once again, we want to limit it to a fairly small number. There we go. This can go all the way up. And we want this one to be just taking iron and steel. So long-handled inserter. And you, how much iron does it? It actually requires quite a lot of iron plates. So let's go ahead and pop that one there. That should handle down. The final part of the puzzle then is, of course, the pipes themselves. Now, we're going to actually want a few of these, I'm going to say. So let's pop down 2 of them. And all these are going to require is iron. Let's go ahead and set that up. Now, obviously, we've got a little bit of a runoff of the copper, the electronic circuit, but I don't think that one's going to be too much of an issue. I think we can live with that. But that almost ran out of room. I am a little bit amused by that one, but there we go. That's a lot more iron feeding into the system now. Okay, that's looking much, 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 much better for us. All right, so let's see how many of these we're going to have to place around in order to get full coverage. Probably quite a few, considering the way that we've set this up. I'm going to have to accept a little bit of overlap there. Though that being said, it would be better for me if I could instead switch these over to running up through the middle. We can almost make it look like it's intentional, and that pleases me quite a lot, actually. That pleases me an awful lot. That pleases me more than it should. That little gradient there. Okay, so these need to be set up for pipes, and once that's done, we should have everything we're going to need for everything else. There we go. And as that filters down, there we are. Okay, now then, we'll start to see the iron plates filtering through. We are not producing nearly enough to make everything we want, but yeah, there's going to be a bit of backing up down here as everything starts to recover from the lack of iron for a little while. Let's have a look at our grenade production. How are we doing down there? We've got more than enough grenades. In fact, so many grenades, I'm going to top it up, and then it should prevent the production of any more. Okay, well, we've skipped past that first little emergency there. The copper over here is doing okay, but it's going to take a little while for us to work through that. We've still got a little bit of iron at the top. Where's my car? It's just over there. Let's go and check on that little iron mine that we had up there. I don't suppose there's very much left over there if we were starting to run out, if I'm honest. Let's go and have a quick peek. I have it here. No, there's a little bit left. Not a whole lot, granted, but yeah, 39k. But we've got over 1 million over there, so that should be fine for now. Right, okay, so no more research speeds. We can now start looking into things that are only going to be available to us once we get to oil. And I think of them, we're going to start with sulfur processing, then on to plastics, then on to solar energy. Now, the next thing, and something I just realized that I'd forgotten to add into our little production stack down here, is we do need to add in the production of, where are we? The pump jacks themselves. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to need to grab you. Shift you out of the way there. How do we want to hook this up? Do we have enough room to push this all the way up the top? We do, I suspect. Let's go ahead. Give enough room for us to add that in. And then 2 of these. Sure, it's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but it's fine. In fact, you know what? To make use of the green circuit and act as if it was all my cunning plan all along, let's go ahead and do this. I think that works out quite well, actually. I think that works out very well indeed. So this requires the pump jack is going to require steel and iron gears and pipes and electronic circuits. So in a way, ultimately, we're going to be leading one of the resources up here incorrectly, no matter what we do. But I guess we'll just have to learn to live with ourselves. There we are. And we'll grab these. And you know what? Sure, we'll grab them at the top there as well. And down here, we can have this just drop the pump jacks over into this crate over here. We're not going to be getting those nearly fast enough to make any realistic difference. So we're just going to have to be okay with that one. Now, there we go. They're alternating which one's pulling what and when. All right. I think that will all work quite nicely for us, ultimately. Okay, so the next part in our plan is to watch the biters kill themselves on our defenses. How many bullets have we got down here? Got more than enough. More than enough bullets over there. I would like to go and drop down a little radar dish down here and also plug in a potential security gap over on the far side. I'm a little concerned about that one. I suspect it is a very real possibility that that could end up being breached as pollution travels around. So let's go and take care of that. And then we're going to head over and start leading a rail in the direction of our expansion for oil mining. Well, is it called oil mining? No, oil drilling. There we go. I knew that was the word I was looking for. Or rather, that mining wasn't the word I was looking for. There we go. That will allow us to watch this area from space. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to lay down a little bit of a defensive area right about here. Should attract any biters that are trying to wend their way around to the mining outpost. And then we're going to run a line all the way out to the crude oil field over here. So see you in a moment. Well, this is awkward timing. I should be able to get in here in time. They were making a beeline for me, the scallywags. But as you can see, I've ghosted out the expansion for the rail over there into the next area, into the oil zone. Now, this area, this little mining outpost is very soon going to be completely mined out. And at that time, we're not going to have any use for the defenses that currently lie there. And I'm thinking that we're probably going to want to push our defenses line up around here. In fact, if we move enough of these defenses into this area, we're probably going to be able to attract any attention from biters just using radars and the likes and gun turrets. We'll probably have a little bit of something here though as well, just to make it a little bit safer for me to move around. You may also notice that I have moved the rotary junction down a little bit just so that it lines up, so that we have a nice little spot for trains to deviate from around here. We have already expanded out a little bit though, and generally speaking, the biters are getting a little bit annoyed at the north base, at the iron mining outpost. They are throwing quite a lot of resistance our way, so we may need to go out and clear out a couple of those bases preemptively before they do some real damage to our infrastructure. But whilst we're thinking about that, explosive, developing dangerous yet controllable explosives. No. I wouldn't mind being able to better clear away trees. So we're actually going to research stronger explosive. Increases the damage of explosive weaponry by 25%. That will probably be enough to allow me to clear out an entire tree with one grenade, and I'll be very happy with that. We've only managed to make very few indeed locomotives there. That's a bit of a problem, but oh well, there's not a lot we can do about it really. If we have a look over here, how many pump jacks have we made? We've made quite a lot. We do not need that many. Thank goodness I checked. Yikes, that would have been annoying. Oh, plop. Thank goodness I checked. That would have been annoying. No mistakes here. No, not even a single one. 100%. 0 deaths. 0 mistakes. Perfect run. Okay then, we are going to have to clear out the biter nest over here. I've just gone ahead and built up the railway a little bit with the car. Can I repair it from inside? No, I can't. That would be a little bit too OP. I suppose that's fair enough. But again, I just received a warning from over here that we were under attack, and they've already done a massive load of damage, even though I've just upgraded the walls. I think I'm going to have to clear out one of those bases. I think that's going to be necessary. But in the meanwhile, let's just clear out this little base over here that's standing in our way. Well, not so much in our way, but on top of our oil. Let's drop a couple of grenades. I can use the guns on the vehicle to remove any potential biters around here where I clear a path so that I can dance around this area in the car. There we are. And actually I can just eliminate you from here. You know what? That also works. Okay, you got me, but only a little bit. Doesn't really matter all that much. There we go. That wasn't too bad at all. I didn't even need to clear all of those trees away. I feel a little bit silly now. But at the same time, it is really satisfying, even if I don't need to do it. There we go. Right, well, that is one problem removed. I'm going to leave these ones here for now, but I do need to deal with this base over here. They are continuing to be a rather large nuisance for us, and I disapprove. Hello. Don't mind me, or do. It doesn't really matter. There we go. We are going to be... Wow, that was a delayed response there from that worm. I think you're a bit drunk. Also, you're allowing your nest to be destroyed. Well done, you. There we are. Using grenades and the vehicle's own cannons is actually remarkably easy to do. I've got to be honest, this is not usually how I engage biter bases, but I may do from this point forward. There we are, and I think that was, in fact, the only worm they had. But as you can see, they are starting to deploy much stronger biters, and it's taken me a long time, even with the car's machine gun, to remove them. So that was what was causing our main base so much trouble. There we go. That will remove some of the difficulties that we're facing down here. Also, it probably doesn't help that we have run out of ammo with at least one of the guns. But let's go ahead and quickly repair all of this. There we are. We are still going to see some things attacking from the north, so leaving these defenses here makes a lot of sense, but this should blunt those attacks considerably. I would say these are going to be a lot easier for us now. There we are. Pop 200 in there. Whether that was really the best one to give the 200 ammo to, I really couldn't tell you, but... right, so better explosives, researched. To get it even better, that's going to take some time. We will now look... Well, I mean, I could start looking into flammables, but I think no. We'll instead go to batteries, because eventually we're going to need solar, though plastics are going to be required to even consider making batteries, I suspect. Right. Well, with that done, let's go and grab ourselves some of the spoils. Well, not some of the spoils of war, but the spoils of our labour, and pick up some pump jacks and get back over to our soon-to-be oil drilling expansion. Okay, there we go. We've got a little bit of defenses there, and I've finished laying out all of the tracks. Now comes the fun part of gathering all of this oil. Let's make sure we've uncovered all of the deposits. Should be able to see on the map if we have. Yes, there's 4 up there, and there are 5 down here. Now, the way that you play around with these, do I have enough pipe? Yes, I do. Perfect. They have an output point, and they all have an output point. Now, interestingly, they alternate between a single corner. They don't just rotate, which is a fun one to note. If we have these located around here, then I should be able to have all of these connect up with each other. It's not going to be easy to get in there, but that is fine. And then down here, we're going to want a couple more. We will have... let's have them all pointing up there. And then, well, actually, let's have these 2 pointing to the side. That makes a nice, neat little connection there. These ones can go down, go across. And at this point, I'm going to say it would be better for us to have them connect via underground pipe. Something along these lines should give us enough coverage. There we are. Perfect. Right, we are going to want to pump these into containers. Now, there's a whole mechanic around liquid pressure in pipes. Between each junction, every pipe section, or rather between each pipe or significant unit, for example, a storage tank, there's pressure in the pipe, and as the length of the pipe increases, the pressure of that liquid reduces, and you've got less throughput, less flow of liquid through them. Now, there are certain ways that you can mitigate this by having pumps at regular intervals to maintain a certain throughput. This is not something that, by and large, you're going to have to worry about, but do be aware that pipes aren't a universal fix-all. You do need to be worried about how distant the pipes are from where you're using a resource. It's very, very tempting to just have your pumps and indeed your pipes and everything else you might be imagining all kind of drawing from a single location and then just piping the oil all across the land. That isn't a very wise way of doing it. I've done it with water, but that's largely because an offshore pump can draw enormous amounts of water relatively easily and keep a fairly high throughput, and we don't use it as aggressively as we're going to be using the oil. But once you get to oil, it is something you want to start paying attention to, if nothing else. And there we go. That should be enough to deal with anything that wants to try and bust into this area. Now, with that, well, actually, there's a little bit more that I want to do, but I've run out of walls, so I'm going to pretend like it was intentional. Now, what we're going to want to do next is prepare a loading station for our trains. Now, where we might want to place that, honestly, we could just branch it off here and have a little loading station, and that certainly is an option, though it would require that we have a stacker of some sort. So let's have a look at what we can do with a loading station. For example, we could prep this to make use of the rotary junction here. For example, we could have something like this, and up here build off into a stacker before coming back around then into the station itself. So perhaps something around there. That actually lined up very well. Okay, I'm liking this so far. There we go. What we would probably want to do is somewhere around here branch up. Just a little bit of something into this. And again, we would want to make sure that we've got enough room for 1 or 2 trains. We're probably not going to use too many. This is why I use grenades. I have to get so close to cut down trees. We probably don't want to use too many trains for this particular route, but let's make sure that we've got enough room to stack at least a little. So we're going to want these around here. There we go. Let's just make sure that this is actually the way that everything is moving. Yes, it is. Fantastic. And then 1, 2, 3, we can just have a signal right about there. That should work perfectly. That gives us 2 trains in waiting and then 1 at the station itself. And I think that is about as good as we're going to be getting it. I could line it up a little bit more, though, if I really, really wanted to. And you know what? Why not, eh? Sure, let's go ahead and do that. Let's get these out of the way. Now, I'm only using this, honestly, it's kind of unnecessary, simply because we're not going to be loading those trains in any way as we do with regular solid cargo. So we can set up something like this instead. There we are. That should work. Now, the way that you load a fluid train is, as you guessed it, with a pump. Oh, wait, no, don't make another one. Keep doing that. Now, I would say with pumps, you absolutely don't need to have pumps on either side of the train. But you'll notice that the sections here are split up into 3. Now, you can have 3 pumps on each train if you want. But again, I really don't think it's necessary to do that. So something like this would be enough. You don't need 6 per wagon. You don't even need 3 per wagon. But the reason why we've got that there, let me grab a fluid wagon, is you'll notice there are actually 3 tanks on the train itself, and each one of these pumps can connect to one of them. So if we set this up, something along these lines, there we go, then each one of these pumps can reach out and connect to one. If you want to be a bit fancy, and honestly, why wouldn't you want to be a bit fancy? You could do something like this and have a nice little connection pattern there. And why not? Right, so with that done, I will connect these up via underground pipe to something a bit like this, I'm thinking. Actually, we can have the connections up here if we particularly want to. That is the tanks that we're going to be connecting to. Let's go ahead and bring this across. There we are. And we can get rid of that one there. And then all of these can link up across there. And now we've got a nice little connection here. As you can see, the pumps are powered, so you do need to bear that in mind. Something like this should do nicely. And we'll hook up the station itself. And then we can just connect that up. Oh, I've run out of... Oh, no. Well, I'm way too lazy to go back and grab this. But we can at least connect this there. There we are. And as you can see, they've all connected up. I actually quite like this little design here. So we are going to grab that. And, well, strictly speaking, we don't need to grab the pipes. The pipes may be hooked up differently in the future. But the pumps we would need along these lines, in much the same way that I don't assume the direction of the belt. Ooh, that's a little bit wonky then. That's a shame. Okay, we're going to need to move this all across by 1 because we cannot be having that. No, no, no. That is not connected to a straight piece. That is connected. Well, actually, technically speaking, this does all fit in. No. Well, the easy way to check is if I place down a regular signal, and if that's green, it means the train isn't over the end. And it looks like it is okay. There we are. I just dislike having any part of the blueprint on a curved piece of track. I like it to be something more along these lines. There we go. And we'll show that this is a fluid station. So we would want... let's find the pumps. There we are. And this should be L. So loading. And of course, because it's obviously a rail station, we'll actually show that this is a liquid loading station. So I believe the other one is solid cargo. So we'll have liquid. There we go. And that should be good. Oh, we want to make sure we're not taking the train stop names. No, we're not. Perfect. Okay, create that blueprint. Pop it in here. Solid cargo drop-off. Loading station. I'll just change this one to solid cargo loading station. There we are. That'll be a little bit better. There we go. And then I'll change this one slightly as well. Although I suppose I could just have loading weird. The station is implicit. Doesn't need to have that word in there. Let's get rid of that. There we are. Sorry about that. Little bit of cleaning. Solid cargo drop off. Solid cargo loading. Yeah, drop off is fine, I suppose. Or unloading might actually be a little bit of a better one just to keep with the theme. Now we're going to need to make a blueprint. Now I know that's vertical, but it's fine. It's just the rotation doesn't really matter too much. But we will need to set this up to actually bring the materials across, and to that end, oh no, we're out of the pipe to grounds as well. I have come very ill prepared, I must say. I am not impressed with myself here, not even slightly. But if we have, well, if we do something like this, and then that, yeah, that'll be a much better connection. We can have a couple of these tanks here to store quite a lot of oil ready for us to move it over. Something like that there. And then we just need to get past you. Can we get over there? No, we can't. So we're probably going to want to branch over from about here. There we go. And if we really want to, if I just take these away, then it's going to make it a little bit easier to connect. There we go. Perfect. And we're going to need some more of these. Yes, I really did come up here very ill prepared. I do apologize. But there we are. We are now drawing in oil. These will fill, well, relatively quickly, I would imagine. That being said, it is actually kind of going the wrong way. Oh, there we are. It's loading. I was saying, why is this going down? Is this some sort of backflow? That shouldn't be possible, but no. It's because we are indeed loading the wagons down here. Now, this little train doesn't have anywhere to go, but we will quickly take care of that. There we go. I managed to find it. It's actually a little bit of a pain here. It both cares that it's crude oil, but also fluid. It is not an item, so you need fluid, crude oil, and then end the tag, and then to change color, you'd have color without the U equals orange, and then pickup, and then you just close that off. It will show up as incorrect until you confirm. Now, for oil, we're going to want this to be, well, pretty much black, really. Maybe a little bit of blue in there. Maybe a touch of red, just for the iridescence. 15,025. There we go. And we'll copy that across. 15,0 and 25. There we are. All right, add crude oil pickup. We are going to want crude oil drop off and then refueling. But for now, it's not going to have those things. Do we have any fuel? We do. We have a tiny, tiny bit of fuel. There we are. I guess, for the time being, I could add in the refueling station and it would continue on its way back and forth, until eventually it's got a full fuel set of coal in there, which I'm actually okay with. Full cargo inventory or inactivity, and then begin. There we go. Perfect. We have got our oil pickup. So now all we require... oh, right. You were coming back to the station. My bad, of course. You know what? Actually, can you take me with you? Pomp. I'm going to leave the car over here. I need to go and pick up so many other bits and bobs, but also I need to set up a new station. Now, it's waiting on a full cargo. No, we don't need to wait on that. Let's go. There we are. Is this one partially empty? Yes, that one hasn't yet filled up. But here we go. I'm actually starting to feel quite happy with myself. Oh, what's going on? There, some more defenses are being damaged. That isn't great. I'm not going to lie. Let's hop out there. Allow you to go and refuel. This, well, now we're at an interesting point. Are we going to continue tacking things onto the bootstrap base, at which point we are more or less giving up on the idea that this is a bootstrap base, or are we going to design a whole new area where oil is processed? And I think we're going to be doing the latter. But that is going to be a much, much bigger job than can be finished in the end of what limited time I have left in this episode. So I'm afraid that's where we're going to be breaking things off for today. We've managed to hook up iron mining. We've got iron running in the factory again. We have added probably what I hope to be the last bits onto the bootstrap base, and that is allowing us to deal with fluid trains, with gathering oils, and indeed we're now building the locomotives automatically, as well as upgrading our factory to tier 2 assemblers. That is going to be all we really are going to do with the bootstrap. At this point now, we're going to start isolating and relocating components. So we've already got an oil pickup area. We're going to need an oil drop-off area where it is going to process that fuel. Furthermore, we're going to want to start creating an area where we can initially we'll probably tap into the bootstrap since it's already making ammo, but a train that picks up defensive supplies, so ammunition, and then ferries it to the various bases where it will be used to automatically restock the turrets in our various outposts. I think that will be a focus for the next episode. So we've got a plan of action. We are going to need to set up oil cracking and oil processing and refining, and we're going to need to actually build a proper setup to supply our outposts with ammunition directly from the bootstrap base and eventually from a dedicated bullet farm. But that is going to be it from me. I really do hope you've enjoyed today's episode and will be joining me for the next. But until then, if you do have any feedback for me, then do leave it down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a like. But until next time, and as always, do take care, everyone.